sometimes we know stories and they're familiar, but we don't really understand what's going on in it. And so this is an incredible story, and this is a story that actually many scholars felt like it shouldn't be in the Bible. You know, David and Goliath. It doesn't really fit. It's a strange story. So we start with the idea that we encounter the Bible as stories that we believe are God's revelation to us. Okay, that's where we start with it. And so we believe that these are inspired books teaching us about God's nature. That's what the Old Testament's about. It teaches us about God's nature. But on the other side of that coin, it teaches us a lot about us and how we perceive God, which changes. This idea of progressive revelation is that we understand God. God doesn't change, but our understanding of God changes. And you look in the world, you see that we have done that before. I mean, how many people probably were killed because they said, let me tell you, if you sail that boat right down the thing, it's going to be it's flat and you're going to fall off. I don't know why I got Southern. All of a sudden, I just got Southern. I don't. Or people say, no. The earth is the center of the universe. It says a lot about us, doesn't it? You know? It's all about us, okay? So, I mean, we have this progressive revelation of God because God is larger and bigger than what we can conceive. So the Bible is kind of like we come into it with these assumptions, and we start to understand that these stories exist above history in time and space. And many of the stories are actually come out of a time. And it's more about a connection into the culture or religion and other religions. So when we hear these stories, we need to say, wait, there's a deeper side to this. There's a deeper side to the swimming pool, and I want to go into that side. I don't want to stay in the shallow side. I want to go into the deeper side. So I'm going to tell you the story, and then try to explain some of the ideas of it, and then try to bring it down and land it with, like, what does it mean to you in our life? And then I'm going to ask you two questions at the very end, because there's a grade, and you have to, but I'm going to ask you two questions at the end to see where you've changed maybe your thinking. Okay, you good? You ready? We're ready to go? Okay. So, there are Philistines over here. That's mainly Greeks. Okay? This section over here is going to be the Philistines over here. Can you all raise your hands here for Philistines? That's it. I need Philistines on this side. Can I hear the Philistines cry out? Like, ah! That is so good. Okay. The Israelites are over on this side. Okay? You are the Israelites. Israelites, raise your hands. Now, do we hear a cry? That was really bad. You guys are probably going to win, okay, right off the bat. So you've got the Philistines and the Israelites, and the Philistines are on one side of the mountain here, and there's a valley that goes down below, and the Israelites are on the other side of the mountain, and it goes down below. And they realize, if we go to war, there's going to be a tremendous amount of death. We don't have sutures. People get cut, get killed. People are just going to die. And so the kings come together and they say, well, what do you want to do? Can we negotiate? And the Philistines go, no, we want your land. And the Israelites go, no, we want our land. And so the kings cannot negotiate. They can't come to, so they go, well, let's do a challenge. A challenge. You bring your strongest man, and we'll bring our strongest man. And we will put them together, and they will fight. And whoever wins, wins. And the others become slaves. The challenge, it saves a lot of time, saves a lot of death, And so that's what's going on now. So the Israelites go, okay, so let's get our best champion. Let's get our strongest champion. And they look over to the Philistines, and the Philistines say, hey, boys, this is Goliath, 9 feet tall. Now listen, I've met Shaq. He came to one of our things, and he shook my hand, and I felt like I was like a little child, like, oh. His hand was he is like not 9. 9 feet is incredible. So this guy is 9 feet tall, and he's got all this armor and everything else, and he walks out and he goes, this is my champion. And the Philistines go, ah, yes. You became pirates all of a sudden. The Israelites are over here, and they're going like, I don't want to fight him. And so all the Israelites are kind of lined up, and they're kind of doing one of those back steps. Anybody want to step forward? No, I don't think so. And so the king offers, he says, I will give you all the money you will ever need. I will give you land. You will never have to work again. And they go, no, not good enough. But I will give you my daughter. And the Israelites say, have you seen his daughter? I don't want anything to do with that. So the Israelites say, we have nobody to put as our champion. Now, what is so strange about this story is this story is not written like it was written by the Hebrews. It really sounds like a Greek story. It sounds like the challenge, this challenge. It sounds like the story about the Trojan War and Achilles and the half-man god and Hector, most famous, the war of Troy. I mean, it's more historical. It sounds more Greek. It doesn't sound like the Hebrews wrote this. 2 armies facing off. And the king decides who's the best champion. And this is what they did. There was this understanding that this was how it was done. So in 1 Samuel, as the champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp, his height was 6 cubits and a span, that's 9 feet. He had bronze helmet on his head, and he wore a coat and scaled armor with bronze weighted over 5,000 shekels. His legs wore bronze greaves and bronze javelin, and he slung it on his back. And his spear and shaft, he wore them like a rod, and it was iron-pointed, weighing 600 shekels. And his shield-bearer went ahead of him. So this is what the Israelites are looking at. Sounds like Greek. It sounds like the story's really more about the 2 champions coming forward. But then all of a sudden, the story changes. It's not about like the 2 champions. Suddenly, there's this little guy named David, and he's 10 years old, and he says, I will go, and I will fight Goliath. He's 10 years old. My grandson's 10 years old. I will fight Goliath. And so they put all this armor on him, and he can't move and he can't do anything. And so he takes the armor off. And he goes and he gets 5 rocks. And he gets them into his sling. And at that time, there was this sling, 2 sticks, and they could sling around and they would shoot. And they could fire that thing, and it could kill things without any problem. And so he goes into the battle, into the valley. And Goliath comes out. And Goliath looks at him and he goes, what is this? I will feed your flesh to the birds today. What do you have, 2 sticks? Do you think I'm a dog? You're going to throw them? And David says, you may have swords, but I have the God's will on my side. And so the story goes that David takes the rock, spins it around, throws it, it hits the giant's dead, boom, falls. Israelites win. And that should be a hooray? Yeah! And Philistines should be going, ooh. There you go, that's good, okay, good. So that's the story of David and Goliath. There's some problems with it. It is not the test of champions because David is not a champion. He's the little guy. He's the one that you don't expect to win. He's the one that you didn't think had the ability to do this. But he has this incredible hope. So this 10-year-old boy, David, has beaten the Goliath. And the Israelites have won. And if you don't know, David wrote a lot of songs. He was a musician. And after this win, he wrote a song that transcended into this time of our life now. Israelites, can you do this with me? Right? We will rock you. Rock you. It sounded really funny in my mind. That was it. So again, we start to understand this story is where it comes from. And the understanding is that it's not a battle that God is saying, listen, I am with you here. It's about an anti-hero. See, throughout the scriptures, the heroes in our scripture were never really heroes. They were people that didn't want to get involved. Moses didn't want to get involved. And see, the bigger picture for us right now is that this is a metaphor about a historical event. It teaches us about our existence right here and right now. I mean, how many of you have ever faced a Goliath in your life? Yeah. You know, I mean, that you faced a problem so large that you're like, I can't handle this. I can't. It's way over my head. It's 9 feet and it's taunting me. That's what kind of problem. I mean, how many of us have giants in our personal life? We face problems within business or problems with our health or giant Goliaths that we just don't seem that we can overcome. I mean, addiction, abusive relationships. Even Goliaths over our own anger, our own sorrow, or our own fear that just seem to threaten us and bear down upon us. And we're like, I don't know if I can beat this one. And if you decide to face off this problem, this Goliath, on Goliath's terms, you feel like you're the 10-year-old boy, reaching your hand up. And, this is not going to work. It isn't going to work. And so David is saying, align yourself with God. Center yourself with God in the center. And listen, I know centering myself with God, I have to recenter myself about every 3 to 8 seconds. I'm real good for oh yeah, I'm centered right here. Something happens and I'm not centered. I need to get back here. And so maybe that's something that we're supposed to take from this, is that we have to center ourselves with God, that let God be God. Let God be God. The trust that God is there to help us. And no matter how far we get away, God has always given us invitation to get back. Come on back. Come on back. It's okay. Come on back. See, it's these moments, these times that we find this. You step back into the center, and you almost feel like you're restored instantly, like, okay, I can do this. Trust, gratitude, humility. And then we use that 4-letter word, help. Because I can't do it myself. I can only do it with God's help. That we center ourselves. See, the understanding is that you can almost taste it when you're centered. The problems look different. That when I center myself, the problems don't seem as large and big as they seemed before. I seem to relax, and the fear doesn't seem to be there, and it doesn't seem to be clouding my vision. And the one thing from this story that you need to understand is that this giant, you remember Andre the Giant? Yeah, Andre the Giant. This was a guy who had this kind of disease where he was very large, but he was very slow, and he couldn't see well, and he didn't hear well. And they believed that Goliath was that same type of person, that he really couldn't see David. That's why he had a shield bearer to kind of tell you, the person's right out in front of you. That when you really get to know the Goliath, the real problem, it is conquerable. You can conquer it. That you start to say, it's not as big as I thought it was. There's a way to conquer this. That the giant really isn't that much of a giant. So maybe what we learn from this story is that we need to center ourselves and calm ourselves down and start allowing God to be God in our life. That we can win over all the fear and misdirection and misunderstandings that we have, that God can help us with any relationship. That I can conquer my addiction. I can do it. That it's not as big as I thought it was. So the two questions I have to leave you today with is these two questions is, one, what about this story is new to you? What is new? Is there anything fresh and new to you since you've heard it differently? And two, how does it make you want to live your life differently? Hearing this story, how does it make you want to live your life differently? Now, if I could have the band come back up one more time. We want to sing one more song as a benediction. And think about that. How do you see this story differently? And how does it make you live your life differently? See, the gospel is simple. The gospel is really simple. We're supposed to love each other and take care of each other. Love God with all our heart and all our soul, but love each other as we love ourselves. Let's stand and sing this together. rejoice in the simple gospel. I will rejoice in you. I want to be a friend. I want you to be my friend. May you be filled with the love of Jesus. May you realize that God loves you just who you are and just believes in you deeply and dearly. Take this love and pour it out into the world who needs it so badly right now. Peace and grace.
Still. What are you guys doing on here still? Carmen, I see you on there. I'm glad I got the sound. I think I got the sound up and working. It was disconnected. Yeah. That's a little bit. There you go. Yeah, Carmen, you're back next Sunday. No more days off. Love you guys. See you next week.